See, faith and confession, this is what I'm speaking about. Your confession and how they go together. Faith doesn't deny reality. When I was a pretty new Christian and I wanted to really walk in faith, and I still do. But if I ever got the feeling that I was kind of getting sick, I would never admit it. I would never admit it. Boy, you're looking a little rough there. No, I feel fine. Liquid coming out of every orifice. I'm doing fine. I didn't want to admit it because I felt like if I admitted it, then I was defeating my faith. Sorry. Got a little open the gates a little bit there. No, I might need to throw that away later. Barbara, you jumped back like it was like I had leprosy. Sister, I don't have germs. I'm germ-free by faith. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but how I wouldn't admit to being sick. It reminds me of a little story that this old preacher told. He said, a girl came along and he said to the girl, how's your granddad doing? Now, the granddad was a Christian Scientist. And they deny the reality of sickness, disease and things. He said, well, he says he's not sick. He thinks he's sick. And so, sometime later, again, no, wait a minute, let me get this joke right. Maybe it's a joke, maybe it's a story. No, I'm sorry. The man asking the question was the Christian Scientist. How's your granddad? Let me get that right. And she said, he's sick. He's very sick. He said, no, you just think he just thinks he's sick. He's not sick. So the next time she saw him, hey, how's your granddad doing? She said, well, he thinks he's dead. And so, faith, that was Brother Bevington, I believe, who told that story. Some of you read him. Which he was very much seen many healings, miraculous healings. But you see, faith does not deny reality. But what it does, I put here, faith doesn't deny reality, but simply believes God's report above all else. Right? The question that comes to us all is, whose report will you believe? Right? Whose report? There's all kinds of reports. But whose report will you believe? Jesus was on his way to heal Jairus' daughter. That was the report. The report was, I'm going to come heal her. He was there. He heard it. They had a little detour with the woman with the infirmity. And so they begin again on their journey. Whose report are you going to believe? Here comes another report. Don't bother the master anymore. Your daughter's dead. Wow, that's a tough report. That's a hopeless report, isn't it? Doesn't get any more hopeless than that. And then Jesus reminds Jairus of the report of the Lord. Be not afraid, only believe. Right? Now, it wasn't a denial of the girl's sickness, but it was believing God's report above all else. And then they go and they get to the place, and there's the weepers, the mourners. And so they're all weeping, and Jesus says, I'm going to go up there and wake her up. Death is just a really long sleep, isn't it? For the body, till the resurrection. He was going to go wake her up. The report of the Lord. And then their mourning turned into, they got angry. And who is this Jesus? Leave our mourning party, Jesus. We're already in full mourning mode. Who's this guy coming in thinking that he's going to go wake her up? And Jesus went up to the room and took Peter, James, and John. He put the rest of them out, He put those reports out. You know, when you make a stand in faith, and you make a stand for Jesus, the reports, the negative reports are going to come in. Have you experienced that before? You decide to follow Jesus, make a stand for Jesus, opposition is going to come in. Sometimes you just got to separate yourself from those people. And sometimes those people are Christians. And when God tells you, your daughter's going to live, when He speaks that word to you, that rhema word, that word instant in season. When Jesus says, we're going to the other side, that's a word you can trust. You can put your faith in that. And then when opposition comes, right? Here comes the storm. With Jairus, death. When he gets there, they're still mocking him. You know, and Jesus had to put them all out. So whose report will you believe? And then you know the story. She was raised from the dead. And Jesus said, give her something to eat. I guess death makes you hungry. Right? And she was strengthened and nourished. And so, faith doesn't deny that. But it does believe the report of the Lord. You know, faith, very simply put, is believing what God said He'll do, He will do. Right? And that's the report. That's the report that we choose to believe. And so, and then he says, verse 2, I'll read it again. For by it the elders obtained a good report through faith. Through their faith, that they obtained a good report. Now, you know, in the Greek, that word report is the same word as witness, which is the same word as martyr. That's where we get the word martyr from. So, for by it the elders obtained a good testimony, you could say. A good witness by faith. And let's just look down through some of this. And then I'm going to close after this. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the Word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of the things which do appear. So here's a general faith statement. We believe that God made the heavens and the earth. You agree with that? Well, what's the report of the world? There was an explosion 55 trillion years ago. I don't know about you. I have trouble remembering last week. Isn't it amazing how we can just glibly say 55 trillion years ago? Were you there?
No.
Scientist? There was an explosion. The Big Bang. And out of it came all life. I don't know about you, but how many explosions do you see that bring life? Does a terrorist bomb bring life? No. So you see, there's all kinds of reports. That's a report of unbelief. If you believe. And unfortunately, some of that has crept into some churches. You know, some churches have an evolution day where they sing the praises of Darwin. Patootie. It's true. Some churches in our area, there's an evolution day where they believe you came from a monkey. Takes a lot of faith, doesn't it? What are you raising your hand for? Oh, because of the monkey comment? Well, some people lead you to believe that we could come from monkeys, but by the way they act. But we believe that the worlds were framed by the Word of God. That's a belief we have. And I stick with it. You know, I can't always explain every part of my faith. I wasn't there when the world was created. But I believe the report of God.